Okay, alright, back again. My body is improving, getting better, slowly but surely, but that doesn't mean we're going to stop talking about Dungeons & Dragons. Today is a product review, and it's actually Pathfinder. And to be fair, I still feel like Pathfinder is just another form of Dungeons & Dragons. So I'm hoping that people will find this useful. I have not really in the past considered this an option for me, but I'm changing my view because there are other things I have to do. I'm just going to do a quick adjustment, see if I can improve the sound in the room. Okay, so now if I do a bit of a talk and so forth, just bear with me while because sometimes the sound in my room, I think I've got it set up right and then it doesn't work out and then I adjust things. Okay, so that hasn't actually improved it. It's a little bit odd, but anyway, you might find there's some noise from outside because I've opened a window, and that'll hopefully improve things. Good. Alright, so now you'll find the start time for this video down in the description. I will put it down there later on. The only problem is this live stream will become unlisted and you won't be able to watch it later on unless you are a patron. I'll put the live streams up for the patrons to watch, and you'll have to wait for the edited version, which eventually will get done. I've been reasonably good about doing those sorts of things recently, so you shouldn't have to wait too long, but you might have to wait like a day before it finally comes out. Provided I don't get busy doing other things, because I do have other things I have to do. Now, by all means, go #question if you have any questions. I will answer your questions at the end of the live stream. I'm going to do my presentation first, and then once I've covered everything, then I'll open it up for questions and answers. And hopefully I'll cover all the things that people wanted to talk about. Now, even if I miss something, that's why you stick around near the end, and we will discuss anything you want to talk about, and I'll try whatever you need me to try. I know there are a couple of questions that can pop up regarding this product. Okay, so we're done. We're ready. Hi, welcome to HowtoDandD. My name is Fred Wheeler, and today I want to do a product review. And no, we're not going to talk about stealing people's stuff or anything like that. Not at all. Not at all. It's about the Pathfinder Combat Pad. Now, as it happens, the Pathfinder Combat Pad is not something I would normally have worried about. It's not something I usually would use. I don't usually use it because I use pencil and paper. Bear with me. I've got people screaming and yelling outside. Okay. And I've got the kids. You're supposed to be at school, guys. Hang on. That's a crack up. I'm sorry about that. I'm going to start again. The young fella next door is not at school, and he's decided to start singing a song, which I don't know what the words are to that song are. I've got no idea what he's saying at all, but he's obviously having a really good time. I don't want to disturb him. We'll leave him to it, okay? I'm sorry, I couldn't help but laugh. It was pretty funny. Anyway, let's transition back and I'll start again. Ah, dear, the things that happen in your life. Alright, here we go. Hi, welcome to HowtoDandD. My name is Fred Wheeler, and today I want to do a product review. I'm not necessarily going to talk about Dungeons & Dragons because this product review is about the Pathfinder Combat Pad, and it's not about stealing people's stuff in the middle of combat. Not at all. That's not what the video is supposed to be about at all. We're going to talk about the Pathfinder Combat Pad. I'm going to show you, I'm going to explain it, and I'm going to do some demonstration. Yes, we're going to test it out. Otherwise, what would be the point in doing this? Now, normally I wouldn't usually use something like a product like this. I would normally use pen and paper or pencils, but things have changed. And now I am certainly considering it, given my current situation. What I have to say is the product is quite expensive as far as I'm concerned. The other thing is that there's actually a second version, a second edition. As far as I can tell, what is in the second product coming out in August of 2019 is it's essentially the same product. I don't think it's going to give you anything extra that you couldn't have got before. Okay, so let's have a look at the product, have a chat about it and discussion, and then we'll go from there. Now, I have to say, for those of you who are unaware of these sorts of products, it's not the sort of product I would say every Dungeon Master needs to have. It really is going to come down to the type of Dungeon Master you are. So here it is, but just as promised. So this product looks essentially the same as the new version coming out. As I said, it's a magnetic initiative tracker, but it does a bit more than that. It also allows you to take notes. There's actually a notes section on the side of it, which I'm kind of interested by, because in the past I would have tracked loss of monster hit points and other things on just a piece of paper. It includes, I'll just flip it over for you. It includes in the back, and it gives you sort of a rundown of what is in here. You get one board, which is double-sided. It's supposed to be wet and dry erase, so you can use both sides. That means you could potentially run 2 combats if you wanted to, which seems quite cool. You get 2 sheets of magnetics that you can sort of, little markers that you can stick on. 13 of those are blue for the player's magnets. 13 are red for enemy or monster magnets. 9 are for green, and those are sort of like the NPC or non-player character magnets. You get 2 round arrows, so to indicate what round you're in. There's 2 of those. There's 2 markers to indicate the next round marker, and there's 2 arrows for the turn. So you can sort of place things as you see fit. Now, I'll explain how you would lay it out in a second. What I see this as, it's a great product for a dungeon master who wants to save paper. Essentially, everything goes onto this. If you're the sort of dungeon master who's not worried about keeping a record of everything, and you're happy to just do it on a board, this makes a lot of sense. If you're the sort of person who needs to take a record, then you could still use this board and then use the camera on your phone and take a picture of whatever's going on. Okay, otherwise, this is the sort of product that you could give to your players so you don't have to do some of the Dungeon Master workload. And I think this is where it starts to become more useful for a Dungeon Master. So, let's open it up, have a look inside. Okay, so we'll ditch this. This here just looks like a piece of cardboard, so nice looking hard piece of cardboard, I have to say. Magnetics sheets. There are 2 sets of magnetic sheets here. Yes, there you go. Alright, so I'll just flip those over. So as you can see, here's the board. It is double-sided, so you've got 2 sides, so you can run 2 combats if you really wanted to. Your initiative is indicated down here, so obviously at the top would be the higher initiative, at the bottom would be the lower initiative. Over here, depending on where you push your marker for your players, your monsters and your NPCs, you could put them into the action section, into the readied section, or the delay. Now, with Pathfinder, something like delay, ready, and action all makes sense. With something like Dungeons & Dragons 5e or other versions of games, something like delay might not apply to you, but you don't have to use that section. You can still use the readied and the action and leave the delay if you don't use delay in your game. And usually Dungeons & Dragons 5e doesn't use that sort of thing. And then here, of course, is where all your notes can go. And that can be around conditions that are taking place or the loss of hit points on a monster you were tracking. And I think there's enough space you could probably track quite a few different monsters if you needed to. Okay, so let's punch out a few of these and sort of see what it looks like. What I did notice when I was sort of going through this whole process is somebody had indicated that past sheets would allow you to sort of cut out additional magnets that you could stick on. These do actually stick on. I can feel them. They're not moving around very easily, so they do stick on. There isn't that sort of indication on this sheet. What I did notice is there's no extra sheeting, but you can, because I've shown people how to make their own magnetic strips before, you could do that. It wouldn't be very difficult, right? And we'll punch out a green one as well, just like so. And we'll punch out a turn arrow, and we'll punch out a round arrow. And I honestly don't know that next round, I don't know what I would use next round for, but we've got them. So I've punched out a few. I'm going to do some marking on here. Now supposedly this is wet and dry erase, so we need to test that, right? Otherwise I'm not convinced. You've got to be convinced. So let's shift that out of the way. Let's grab a dry erase marker and just quickly write on this. I will move this out of the way because it's a bit too much white. There we go. All right, so shuffling it over. Okay, so I'll go monster. And that is the dry erase marker. If I get a wet erase marker, and this is wet erase, monster. Okay, and then if I want to wipe that off, does it come off? Yep, dry erase just disappeared. Wet erase. Okay, so I'm going to have to use a cloth, but it does come off. This is a damp cloth. I was slightly prepared. Didn't just show up with nothing sitting here at my disposal, so I was a little bit organised. Okay, so first off, obviously dry erase seems to be the better option. The wet erase seems to smudge and go everywhere, although you could use it, you would still find that you have to sort of do a bit more cleanup. I think the dry erase is the better option. And then of course we can go through here and we want an NPC. I'll just put NPC. I think it would be smart to write the number of the initiative on the actual thing as you're going, so when you're ordering it, it's a bit easier. So initiative, say 6, and then say my monster, and I put them as 8, and then, I don't know, cleric, 2, I'm giving some pretty low initiatives, fighter. I think you're going to need a very fine tip pen to be able to write on here and have it sort of not sort of bleed in. I'm using quite a thick dry erase marker, so it's a little bit hard to write and have everything sort of stand out. 16, and then wizard, and that would be, I don't know, let's go 20, and then rogue, and the rogue, let's go 25. Be really, really generous. I don't know how they get a 25, but anyway. So then we take them and we order them into our initiative, placing them wherever they need to be. So 25 would be at the top, wizard would be 20, so I don't know, about there roughly in the action section. Fighter's a 16, so next one down. And of course you can leave space in between or you can stack them really, really close to each other. It doesn't really matter. And then what have we got here? We need to go 8. So these are the monsters. And then NPC, and then this is the cleric is right down the bottom there, probably because they just, yeah, okay, so there's your basics. Now you can indicate your round with your round arrow by just sticking it on whichever round you're currently on. Does it move? No, it doesn't shift around, so it does stay there. It doesn't feel like it. It moves actually pretty easily, but when you actually go to, no, does it stays put? Okay, so turn. Whose turn is it currently? Let's say it's the fighter's turn. So we put this over here. We can, as we're moving down and taking turns. I don't know what we'd necessarily use this for. As we're taking turns, we can shift this down. So rogue takes their turn. We go down to the wizard. Maybe the wizard decides they don't want to take their turn and they want to ready a spell like a fireball or some other effect. And then we move down to the next one and they take their turn. So, and yep, they don't move. So that's actually good. So it's doing what it's supposed to do. It's doing what it's advertised it will do. I have heard that you can use a permanent marker on this board. Honestly though, there's no indication on the actual packaging, so I find that quite odd. And I'm not planning to test it here today because I think it would be a disaster if I wind up buying a new product and it doesn't work and I wind up with a whole lot of permanent markers stuck all over it. Now I could use methylated spirits to remove it, but will it damage the surface? I'm not too sure. So actually, pretty cool. I think it's a great idea. I don't know that the magnets, if you flip them over and did another combat on the other side, would necessarily stay put. Particularly if it moves around, you're probably going to smudge off all of your writing. So yes, I think you would definitely have to use a very fine tip pen for this to work effectively. But I do like the idea that you can sort of track everything, and as you're going, right, you can, put down your monster, and if it's got, 56 hit points and you take off so much, and you're now down to 48. So it does sort of allow you to sort of do a lot of different things on there all at once. I like that aspect to the board. I think it actually makes a lot of sense, and I'm going to use it plenty. So look, if you found this helpful, awesome. I have hundreds of videos for Dungeon Masters and players, which you're welcome to go and check out. I have many different reviews on different products for Dungeons and Dragons, Pathfinder, and other role-play games, and you're welcome to go and look at those. You'll find them in the playlists, plenty of them available. Look, if you want to support the channel, you did so by watching this video, and thank you very much. I have a Patreon page where you can support me there, get access to stuff that nobody else gets access to, and priority on the videos that I make and the type of content that I make. I also have affiliate links to the book depository on Amazon, and you will find links to this product down in the description if you need to go and access these. You will find that the first few are for the USA, so if you're from a different country other than the USA, you need to use the international links instead. Okay, now I also have a merchandise shelf. I do have merchandise on my channel, and you should find that accessible pretty shortly. On top of that, make sure to share, like, and subscribe. Hit the bell button to be notified when I go live and when I publish new videos. And hey, till next time, keep rolling those 20s. Oh yeah. I'm not gone. I do need to drink some water. Just an update on the kid outside who's singing, for those of you who might be even remotely interested. He's still going at it. I can just make him out, and I think he may have improved, but there is like glass and a wall between me, so it's a little bit muffled. But he's going at it hard. He really is. He's going at it hard. Let's go to the chat and have a look at what people have to say. This is your opportunity to ask questions, and I will do my absolute best to answer those questions. Like I said, I'm really a little bit worried about trying out a permanent marker on here. Although if somebody were to super chat me, I would do it. If somebody super chats me, then I get my permanent marker out of the drawer and I mark the board to see if it'll come off. If it doesn't come off, we know it's Methylated Spirit's job. Anyway, I don't think that's likely to happen. Let's have a look at the live chat here. F. Hubbard's made sure he's here on time and early. Well done. Hello, Scott. Just brought this. Okay, what did you think of it, Scott? Let me know what you thought of the product. I absolutely would love to know what you thought of the product. Sean, just curious what this is. I want to see more Pathfinder 2E stuff to help me figure out if it is something I would use. Yeah, I'm probably not a channel that's going to have a lot of Dungeons & Dragons 2E stuff on it. The second edition of Pathfinder may well be an improvement on the past game. I don't doubt that, but for me, I'm not really going to be jumping back and forth between Pathfinder and Dungeons and Dragons. I'm the type of person who likes simplicity rather than increased complexity. So even though I do buy a lot of the Dungeons and Dragons 5e Splat books, and I do have a lot of Pathfinder adventures, I don't really get caught up in their player option stuff and a lot of their other supplements, because they produce like Dungeons and Dragons 3.5 did, and it's not really where I'm at. Okay, Scott, what do you got here? I meant to get the older version of this, but this is what I got, so I think I will like it when I get used to it. I know there are a couple of different versions of this, right, in terms of its layout. And I understand the rounds used to be along the top rather than down here. I know a lot of people would prefer that setup. My understanding is that the second version of this looks almost identical. Now if I show you the picture, I'll show you the picture again of the first printing apparently. This is what we're dealing with right now, okay? And this is apparently what it's going to look like. So all they've really done, it's all very much the same, but the round number is along the top. It's the only thing that's different. And I would say probably there's a little bit less space for writing down stuff because they've created like a box on the side. So you can see it's not nearly a big enough change, and the price on the new product is going to be significantly more. I think you'll be paying it almost $10 more than you normally would for the older product. I think the older product is perfectly fine as far as I'm concerned. Okay. Scott, yeah, look out for your singing neighbours. Get you flagged. Yeah, they could be singing copyright infringing music, And trust me, I've had it playing very, very low in the background sometimes. Couldn't even hear it myself, but apparently it was still flagged by YouTube. It's amazing. Amazing, that software. Scary, but amazing. F-Hubber. First impression, combine your magnetic dry erase pad with my plan of laminated printed sheets to make them wet, dry, erasable, and you can make your own custom version. Yeah, you can, absolutely. Look, you could just get a piece of metal. I mean, essentially this is flexible. There's probably a bit of metal in there somewhere that allows it to be magnetic in some way, compared to just having like a metal board, which you would sort of stick stuff onto, or stick like a adhesive whiteboard sheet onto. So you could make your own if you really wanted to. I don't think that would be very, very difficult. And I made a flexible magnetic whiteboard. I use them all the time in my videos, right? You know I use them. But it's sitting on my fridge right now. They have dual purposes. Fantastic. See my comment on your YouTube making the flexible magnetic dry erase. Yes, I have seen it, F-Hubber. Brandon, how's it going, Brandon? Hello, Aaron. Whoa, caught a live stream. Yes, can be a bit difficult sometimes, but you did very well. Thank you for showing up, Aaron. Okay, F-Hubber. Now, if you have any specific questions, then throw them out there. Not good getting wet erase into your dry eraser. That will gum it up. Yes. The wet erase does seem to be a bit gummy, doesn't it? It always seems to cause a little bit more trouble. And depending on the colour, it's either it could be easier or harder to remove. I despise the likes of red. Red wet erase markers, so much trouble for a Chessex battle mat. Just appalling. But you know, what can you do? That's the type of setup for that type of vinyl mat. Okay, advantage of wet erase is you can find finer line markers. You can find, I know you can. I believe you can also get dry erase markers that have a finer tip to them. To be fair, I'm using a very, very cheap dry erase marker. It just comes with, you know, a cheap big box store whiteboard. So it won't be high end. So you could probably get something a lot better so that the lettering stands out a bit better. So obviously not the best tool for the job, and I will have to upgrade my dry erase marker in the future. Hi Scott, I tested it yesterday and it doesn't work with permanent markers. Okay Scott, that is good to know. So we know that it doesn't work with permanent markers, which probably means you have to go methylated spirits to get it off, right? Don't use toothpaste. It's an abrasive, it will get things off, but it's not a good idea. And even methylated spirits is likely to damage a surface over time if you use it enough. And it's not good for you too. It'll make you very, very sick over time. A lot of people find if they use methylated spirits and other things like that for a long period of time, that they start developing all sorts of health issues. Something that's starting to develop now, that we're only sort of starting to learn about. Hi Sean, how's it going? Not sure if this this is something I would use. As it is, I forget to use things I have already. Yes, I know what you mean. I have so many little tools, and unless I'm running a game in my own home, I would forget it. But because I'm looking at trying to run games online as a job. It seems strange to even say that, but yes, I'm looking at doing that as a job. It means everything's in my office, so I have at my fingertips everything I might want to use. And this makes a lot of sense so that I don't have a lot of bits of paper rustling in the background while I'm running the camera and talking to other people online. So yes, reduction of noise is always nice, particularly if you're going to be online. What's that, Aaron? I use a plain laminated white piece of paper. Perfectly fine. There's no cool magnet tags, but it works in a pinch. Well, I think it's actually still a pretty smart idea. I think F-Hubber and you have probably got the right idea, and significantly cheaper. So, not a big deal, right? But I guess the only hassle is that when you're taking your initiative, I can shuffle and move these around if I needed to. which is one of the benefits, I guess, of doing this, is if you can add in somebody else. You know, when you're writing out your initiative and then you suddenly find, okay, somebody else, I need to add something else, another monster or another player is coming into the mix because they showed up late and I didn't have them in the initiative, or I can now slot them in, provided you leave a space in between. This is something I learned from somebody else using this pad, and that was that it's actually smart to leave a space. Don't put them right up against each other. Leave a space so that if somebody else has to be included into the combat, you can slide them between somebody else. So yeah, don't bunch them all up too much. Spread them out a bit. Scott, I think this will help keep track of concentration of spells as well. Yes, because what you can do is you can get your marker and, okay, so it's round 2, but you've got a spell that lasts 10 rounds. Well, from that round through to round 12, and we can circle it, we can say, okay, spell ends, whatever it might be. Okay, so you can mark it on your board and make it nice and clear when those things are going to end. So I think it's got a lot of different uses. So still think it's a good idea. I know I'm going to use it. I honestly never thought I would buy one, but I'm at a stage now where it actually makes a lot more sense to use one. And also because of all the videos that I make, this will certainly make it simpler and easier and look tidier when I start showing people initiative, particularly if I'm doing a complicated situation. So it makes a lot more sense for me. Okay, I think we've covered everything we needed to. As I said, this is going to go unlisted very shortly, so if you wanted to watch it, now's the time. It will get edited down, so a lot of the questions and answers at the end will be lost. So things like information about whether you can use a permanent marker on it will be not included in the edited version. What is the video that's coming in at about 1 p.m. today? Well, at 1 p.m. today, I'm doing a Lost Mine of Phandelver Dungeon Master Guide. And I'm going to be talking about Yimmick. It's going to be a short video, I think. I can say this all the time about my Lost Mine of Phandelver videos, but it's going to be a short video about 1 p.m. today, New Zealand Standard Time, and it's going to be covering Yimmick, the Goblin Chief. That is my plan. That is the program for today. That will be the last video I live stream for today. Other than that, thank you to my patrons who are supporting me. Thank you to everybody who's coming to my live streams and supporting my live streams, because that's really, really helpful. Trust me, it is. It's very, very helpful. So I'm going to say my usual, and that is, have a good day, have a good night, morning, afternoon. Look after your family and your friends and yourself. And hey, till next time, keep rolling those 20s.